Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
This is Mira Business FM, and not something we cover very often here on this channel, wood, but more specifically, how responsible timber sourcing is shaping UAE manufacturing. And I'll come to how that works in a moment, but businesses are being asked to look more closely at the origins of their raw materials as sustainability expectations increase across global supply chains. And timber, in particular, has come under greater scrutiny, from how forests are managed to how wood is processed, transported, and used in manufacturing. So, what does responsible timber sourcing look like in practice, and how do manufacturers operating the UAE ensure things like traceability, compliance, and environmental responsibility from forest to finished products? Alex George is with us, and he's the MD, Managing Director of Ostad Pallet Factory. It's nice to see you. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
The why, first of all, because pallets are not a thing I ever talk about with people, I'll be honest with you. And I was sitting thinking at the weekend. So I'm talking to Alex on Monday morning, and I got to thinking, so I AI'd pallets on Google. And it started to sort of dawn on me, really. In terms of world trade, pallets are fundamental building blocks. You can move stuff efficiently, you can move stuff safely, and in a standardized way. So you can store stuff. So there's loads of different benefits from it. So I kind of get this now. But I mean, simply put, Alex, without a pallet, modern logistics would be a lot slower, a lot more expensive, and a lot riskier. So there's a real impact on the entire global economy. Right. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it's true.
Yeah, because once you manufacture a product, you need to stack it on something, and then forklifting is what is the most common way of transporting things within the premises. So pallets are a big part of it. It's always been. It's just that it's evolved now. It's you've got like radio chips embedded in them and things like that. But conventionally, timber pallets still have a specific.
Well, they do. Yeah. Even pallets have got tech in them now.
A lot of Europe, especially when it comes to when traceability is an issue, especially with perishables and things like that, it's much easier to have a radio chip inside the pallet, which actually tracks the movement completely. So you see a lot more usage of RFID now in pallets when it comes to FMCG.
Okay, so these are not things I ever think about. Well, look, from your point of view, 20 years of experience in the timber pallet industry across the GCC, you lead operations from a great big new facility, 8,000 square metre facility in Dubai Industrial City. As far as I know, though, no forests here in the UAE. So where does the timber come from?
So traditionally, we used to use a lot of sources out of Europe. So we had places like Germany, Austria, Romania. We have our own procurement office in Romania. But now, because we're really aligning ourselves to sustainability now. Right. So we're trying to move more into a lot of plantation timber, where the timber is actually grown to be harvested. And they do this every 15, 20 years. And so in order to do that, we're moving more to Latin America. So Brazil has become like 80% of our procurement is now out of Brazil.
Okay.
So and the documentation is a lot more clear. So we know that we're buying clean timbers. The sources are more. So the only way to actually certify this is to look at the chain of custody, where the log's coming from, who's cutting it, emission standards of the factories and things like that. So. We moved a lot of our procurement now to Latin America.
Okay, and timber sourcing is a really important issue. There is demand to know, the provenance, if you like, of a particular country, timber, But when people hear that phrase, because I think, very often sustainability is, I'm using quote marks here for anybody not watching, but it's a little bit of a switch-off word in a lot of ways for a lot of people. But when you hear that phrase, sustainable timber, what does that really mean? What does that mean in practical terms? Can you break that down?
See, the thing with sustainability now, it's not about the timber industry per se. It's the impact that the industry is having on things like the environment.
Right.
We had, if you look at it now, you see more erratic weather patterns. Like we lost the last Friday, we didn't work because of the issues with the road and waterlogging the rains.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're seeing more of these weather patterns changing more frequently. It never used to be the case. And all this is happening because of there's huge amounts of CO2 buildup. Global warming is a big issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the way things are going, I think the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to have a lot more regulatory bodies making sure that industries are being responsible, whatever it is, forestry, manufacturing, emission standards, things like that. So, so as far as the timber industry is concerned, the concern always is what that industry is doing to the planet. How is it damaging the environment? What is the impact that it's got on the environment? So in most cases, most countries define how an industry would, how the forestry industry would work. So what we do is we look at the only way to actually audit this is by looking at the chain of custody of the raw material. Where is it? Where are they harvesting it from? Where are they cutting it? What are the emission standards of the factories that are cutting wood? How do we bring it here? Converting the waste. What are we doing with the waste? We're setting aside a lot of resources now to convert the waste to biochar, which is going to be an agricultural additive. It goes back to the soil as carbon. So these are all technical. I mean, it could be. It's very technical in terms of.
But it's interesting though, because it strikes me it's much of sustainability is about kind of mitigation rather than it's very hard to tackle head on, isn't it? And that's the same in your trade, if you like.
Yeah, so we're seeing more and more. It's more about responsibility for the environment. You know, what are we doing? We've always heard climate change for a long time, but now we're seeing the impact. It's you're seeing it with especially with weather. A lot of places you see flooding. A lot of places you're seeing extreme temperatures. So these are where the concerns are. So all of us, I think, as from a industrial point of view, I think there is going to be a lot of. We will be held accountable for sure. I think it's just a matter of time. Even here, I think the government's going to be doing a carbon audit on most industries to see what their emissions are, and there's going to be a carbon rating.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're looking at actually banking a lot of carbon credit because it's something that a lot of between 2040 and 2050, I think a lot of even government institutions are targeting getting to net zero. Where, but if you're an oil-producing company, you cannot stop emissions. All you can do is buy carbon credit from somebody else.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think a lot of so you'll probably see a lot of investments moving into agriculture as well.
But you're in a good position, I guess, to meet that because, more and more, I suppose, there's going to be more government regulation to meet set targets. There must also be demand from clients and customers as well.
Yes, we just had to do our sustainability rating. We came silver in that, and one of the reasons we had to do it was because of a lot of our customers were getting rated as well. And as part of the supply chain, everybody in the chain has to be certified. Okay. So we've been working quite a bit on sustainability issues. We did EcoVadis, which is it's completely non-balance sheet. So we look at human rights, environmental impact, our supply chains, how responsible we are in our processes. So we just finished that. We got the rating in November.
Okay.
So we're at silver. Probably next year we'll try and target gold.
How traceable, in real terms, is the timber supply chain when you go from, forest to factory floor? I'm interested in just understanding that process a little bit more.
It starts with the forest side of it. So normally most governments are the ones that allot the areas for companies to go and take logs from. In Europe, normally they set standards. It has to be over 70 years, the trees, things like that. But the gold standard for forestry is the FSC certification, Forest Stewardship Council. So at every stage of the processing, it has to be FSC certified. So
I've seen that.
yeah, so
that stamp
that's
on.
the gold standard. So
Yeah.
if you're buying FSC certified timber, that means there has been an audit done to see the trail of the supply chain. We call it a chain of custody. So every custodian of it has been following the same set standards. It's getting more and more regulated. I've been in this industry for 20 years now, and I've seen the amount, how much more stringent the regulations are getting to be. We also see the flow moving. Like I said, Western Europe was a big supplier. Then we saw a lot of, because of heavy regulations, they moved towards Eastern Europe, where it was a little more relaxed. Now we're seeing it move a lot more towards Latin America, so Brazil, Chile, New Zealand, also very strong for plantation timber. So they all basically grown for 25 years, 20 to 25 years, cut, reharvested. So this is it's like a circular way of doing forestry.
Okay. How does responsible sourcing affect cost? I used to work in publishing, and we spent some time looking at, being better, because we were printing a lot of magazines, and clearly there's a great deal of waste. This is a few years ago, but it was substantially more expensive to use, as you say, responsibly sourced pulp, with a chain of custody. But how does responsible sourcing affect costs, affect availability, or production planning, for example?
It increases the cost, but the difference I see is earlier the client would be very hesitant to absorb that cost. Now they're a lot more. If you go with a sustainability tag that you've done the complete audit, they're more willing to work with you, even if it means paying an additional premium. Because nobody wants to be held responsible eventually, and this will happen in 5-10 years. I'm pretty sure you're going to see a lot of. If we don't clean up the way we do things now, you're going to start seeing it really impact the environment around us. So I think a lot of this is going to be, it's going to be a way of life at some point. You're going to be much more careful the way you handle environmental issues.
I guess that's the way we need to go, though,
Yeah,
isn't it, really?
definitely.
What about customers in the UAE, customers in the GCC? How do they factor sustainability into their purchasing decisions? What kind of trends do you see?
Well, they used to ask for an FSC certificate, but it was not done the right way. I always used to see just people used to provide you a certificate, but it never shows the chain of custody. It was just an FSC that we are FSC certified.
So it was just a kind of tick box thing.
It was just a
for a
checkbox.
while.
Now it's different. There's a whole set of documentation that has to be done. They have to comply with it, and we go through it as well from our side. So it's more. I think it has more to do. Like for us, for example, we did our sustainability rating because we were asked to do it by clients of ours,
Right.
because they were doing it. And these are big clients. These are not like we had to invest a lot of time and money into it, because it took 5-6 months to get the entire rating done. But eventually and it was good, because in a way I never designed the processes from a sustainability angle, but we were always careful when we do something, a strategy or a process, what are the impacts that it's going to have. So it was a good surprise when we got the silver rating, because it puts us at the top 15% of all audited companies by them. So I think eventually most companies are going to have to do it. It's especially get their carbon rating done. This is definitely in the cards.
So good to do it now rather than later.
It
gives you an
because what's going to happen?
advantage,
It's going to be like, I don't know. You remember when they introduced VAT and now corporate tax and all that?
Yeah.
You can't get an accountant now, because suddenly everybody woke up, and we were trying to get somebody for corporate tax. It was just everybody was saying the same thing. We're busy. We've got So before people wake up one fine day and rush to get it done because there's a deadline, we just thought we're definitely going in that direction. Everybody's going to have to be there at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
We just got a head start on it.
That's good. So, regulations and industry standards are certainly more demanding when it comes to timber products. It's fair to say that. How important is local manufacturing in ensuring, accountability and ensuring transparency?
It's I'm pretty sure you must be aware now. The government is really pushing made in UAE. Like they want.
Yeah.
That's a big movement now to produce in the UAE. And the thing that happens with industrialization is you're going to have set standards. So I think we just moved to Dubai Industrial City, and I've seen the difference between the I've seen that we were in Jebel Ali before since I think 2003, and I've seen the difference in the regulations even when building the factory. There was a lot more things that we had to comply with compared to earlier. So waste management, even layout, security, just CCTV placements also had to be approved by a local body.
Okay.
How we're disposing waste, things like that. So
You've said waste a few times in this interview. What do you mean when you say disposing of waste? What kinds of things come into play?
So we have like we process a lot of wood. So the wood waste itself is quite a big issue for us. We have to. So most of the time we were supplying it to farms. They use a lot of wood waste for like horse stables. They put it on the floor of the stable.
Yeah.
Poultry farms, they use a lot of the powder. They put it so that the waste of the chicken and it's easier to scoop the waste.
Sawdust is still a thing then?
Yeah. They still use quite a bit. So we were doing a bit of that. But the real, finally, what I think, next year what we want to do is we want to get into biochar, which would be like we put the wood waste through a process called pyrolysis, where you heat it without oxygen or very low amounts of oxygen. It becomes, you produce charcoal basically. And then we put this back in agricultural soil and you're basically adding carbon to the environment. It helps in agriculture because it actually absorbs water. It retains a lot of water.
Okay.
So your irrigation requirements are a lot less. I'm actually doing it in the factory as well. We're treating the soil so that we use about 40% less water. We've got massive rainwater harvesting tanks as well there. So,
which are full at the moment, no doubt.
Which are completely full, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Let's get back to pallets, because that was kind of where we started in this interview. And I genuinely have never, ever interviewed anybody about pallets, ever. So I'm just interested. Pallet demand... there's no let up in regional trade, of course. The economy's going great guns. Logistics, the same. E-commerce, the same. So I'm guessing pallet demand is rising.
Yeah, it is. We're very good with bespoke. So we don't do we do very limited amounts of the standard Euro pallet that you're used to. We're very good with customized pallets, for industry like piping, for metals. We deal with a lot of metal companies. That's a niche for us. But it's rising, definitely. So when you have, if the government is pushing the Made in UAE mandate, we're going to see our business increase as well, because the minute industry moves up, they're going to need the requirement for logistic-related things also go up. And pallets part of that. So we're definitely seeing a lot of increase. It's just that it's production. So we have limitations in terms of labor, machinery, things like that. So we're looking at expanding now, and we're looking at either the north or the south, so closer to Abu Dhabi or closer to Ras Al Khaimah to have a second outfit.
Really? Just after opening?
We do require it. In fact, the existing land is not, the existing facility is not enough. It was a big, that's something we should have doubled the size of that production facility.
That's a familiar Dubai problem, though, isn't it?
Yeah, we didn't. That was something I really miscalculated.
Really?
Yeah, it was. Given a choice, I would have doubled the land space.
Okay.
We're at full. we're completely full right now. We're having issues with even the timber, storing timber right now.
Wow. So that must be, as much as I guess the headache is there, that's a nice problem to have, kind of thing.
It is, but it comes with its challenges because we're constantly trying now. We have to turn away a lot of business because the thing is because we're bespoke, every different clients have different raw material requirements, so we need to keep stocking for them. So we cannot take on a lot of new business. Has to be turned away. So so I'm trying to fast track expansion now.
Okay.
Luckily, we have a lot of support from banks as well, so it shouldn't be too difficult.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I guess, you're looking at going forward, more automation, you're looking at increased software investment, I would suppose, fleet expansion as well.
Yeah, we just fleets expanded. I've just signed a contract for digitization. So the first step, I brought in a AI team. And I wouldn't say AI, but part of it is AI. We're looking at bringing in the first step would be to increase employee productivity. And we're just going to use existing tools like Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, existing AI-based softwares out there to start improving productivity. That'll be step one. And the second then will be AI implementation in sales, marketing, procurement, monitoring inventory levels, things like that. So we have a 18-month chart already put. The first 3 months will be the first phase is 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a need for more pallets, that's for sure. I know that much. Just let me ask you the projecting ahead, that we're coming up to 2026 question, Alex. How do you see responsible forestry shaping the future of timber-based manufacturing in this region?
Your client is going to come and ask you, how are you procuring your timber? That's basically going to be the first step, and they're going to want to see certain standards being met. I think this is where that will define companies that are responsible and those that are just because as long as you have there's a lot of places where even illegal harvesting goes on. Where there's certain countries where they don't really. They don't really put the right controls in place, and you have a lot of things like that happen as well. It's like gold. I think there was this whole controversy about gold coming in from Africa, which was not from responsible sources, and then they started cleaning it up. So similarly, I think it's one thing. The governments itself are going to make sure that the forestry industry is clean, because otherwise they get held accountable. By all these. Climate change watchdogs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that happening as well. Greenpeace, etc., things like that. So it's going to be your client who's going to come and ask you, how are you procuring your raw material? I think this is going to be a big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I didn't expect to be talking about pallets today, but I've quite enjoyed it. I've got to be honest with you. Alex George is the MD, Managing Director of Ostad Pallet Factory. All the best for the festive season.
Thank you.
Alex, and for 2026. And thank you for coming in.
Pleasure.
Appreciate talking to you.
Thank you very much.
It's the Morning Drive. This is Mira Business FM. A like or a subscribe is always appreciated. Wherever you join us from, get in touch. Tell us what you think. And a reminder that everything we do is available to listen and or watch again. So find us wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search Mira Business FM.